Welcome to Talk on the Pod, the podcast where we delve into the remarkable journey of the Takim Foundation's community, who are showcasing the best of the Arab world and paving the way for a brighter future. I'm your host, Andrea. Today, we have a special guest who's at the forefront of promoting art and culture from the Arab region on a global stage. Our guest, Rima Nasser, is the founder of Selections magazine, a quarterly publication known for its high quality content that delves into art, design, fashion, and the pleasures of living well. Rima's passion for art extends beyond publishing. She's also an avid art collector and a visionary who launched initiatives like Cultural Narratives in an effort to map the Arab art world through commissioned works that highlight the region's rich cultural heritage and contemporary artistic expressions. In this episode, we'll explore Rima's journey, her visions for selections, and the impact of her work in promoting Arab artists globally. We'll also discuss the unique qualities of Arab art, the role of art in translating culture, and the new artistic renaissance unfolding in the Arab world, where artists are using their mediums to capture their experiences in a changing region. Stay tuned as we dive into a fascinating conversation with Rima, a true champion of Arab art and culture. So, Rima, welcome to Talk on the Pod. It's so great to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would love to start by maybe asking you about your journey through being involved in the art world and what inspired you to found Selections magazine.
My involvement in the art world is through my children. I have my youngest daughter is a painter, and since she was born, she was always illustrating, painting on walls, creating beautiful works. So is her sister Anastasia was designing, working with Pat Amudli and doing small stuff. So I followed them to see what is it, where would they like to reach with their work, and this is how we were visiting and exposing ourselves to art. But then we were not living in Lebanon. We came to Lebanon 20 years ago. And I started selections in 2006, covering art.
Selections magazine offers high quality content on art and culture from the Arab world through quarterly prints and weekly online publications. And it's known to really focus on covering artists from the Arab world and do profiling on them using visual means. Can you share more about the vision for the magazine and really how has it evolved ever since its inception?
In 2006, yes, when we published the first edition of Selections, it was distributed in Qatar, and it started as a lifestyle magazine with a bit of art included. And then the Museum of Islamic Art was opened in 2008, and pre-opening I was going to visit a lot, and I was also visiting the collection. They had a private collection of Orientalists. And there I was exposed to the Orientalists and to the artists living in Qatar, as there was the war in Lebanon and specific things that I could not do much. So I developed more and more interest, and I started learning more, and Selections turned into just arts and culture publication since then.
What were some of challenges maybe that you've encountered in those early stages for launching Selections?
It was not, it was rather, in fact, everybody accepted to read more about art and culture. I started it bilingual, thinking that maybe it will reach more people, but then after knowing more or following up on who is reading us, we thought that it better be in English, even though it's about Arab art.
And you focus a lot of the coverage on the Arab world region. What inspired you to center the magazine around this region specifically? And in what ways does selection provide a platform to get to know those artists from the Arab region more in depth? And why is it important?
You know, living in Europe for so many years, the children would know who is Van Gogh, who is Picasso, or who are the big artists. But coming here, we have pioneer artists and very, very important artists who are preserving our history and culture. And our children don't know about them, and a lot of people don't know about them. And I felt the need of exposing or talking more about these artists, inviting children, inviting families with easy reach, easy language, so that anybody can read and anybody could develop interest. And to have this to keep this interest, we thought that we would have something for the children, like a special project for children, inviting them, inviting schools to join in illustrating and talking about them. And we did the first exhibition in Dubai with the schools, and it's very, very impressive how they accepted and how they adapted. Now you ask about certain artists, and they would point out that this is Dia Al-Azawi, for example, or this is Mona Saudi. Okay, it's not so easy. I'm exaggerating, but there is a possibility after they see them a lot. It's a possibility.
How do you think creating a dedicated platform via digital print, but also in person activations such as being in art fairs and exhibitions, can be beneficial for those Arab artists and help with their recognition on a local scale, but also on a much larger global scale?
No, it's very informative also for the foreign world, for the Europeans, for the international scene, to know more about our artists. Like, for example, in Art Basel, there are two Lebanese galleries only that exhibit there, and they do have pioneer artists. We can't decline that, but and it's very good that they are there so that they would expose our artists to the international world. In Art Dubai, there is a mixture of Arab artists and foreign artists. And being there as media partners and distributing the magazine also sheds light on our artists to the visiting galleries. To work with them, also to expose them to other foreign artists.
As a media partner for major art fairs and exhibitions, how does selections contribute to this global art community by promoting Arab artists on this international scales? And any key exhibitions that you can mention where selection played a significant role in that?
No, as media partners, we try to cover these exhibitions. For example, the Venice Biennale. We try to cover, we try to interview the artists that are like the Lebanese mainly, or the UAE artists, or the Arab artists. So we try to be there to inform, and now everything is done through online interviews or online publishing. And we have an interesting data that is reaching, and we hope it will reach more.
What would you say is unique to the way selections portrays the stories of those artists that originate from the Arab world and does differently?
We work with the artists on personal level, and not an academic level. We are not an art critique publication, and we don't allow ourselves to critique artists' works. Every artist has a message to give, and we respect that. What we do is we may write very short essays and allow the reader to decide whether what is the message and what is it that they relay.
What would you say are the messages that you tend to find as a pattern in those artists that you're covering in terms of really the reflection that they portray through their art of the context of the Arab region?
No, it's very diverse. I mean, each country portrays a different message.
Yeah.
In Lebanon, we have a big artistic cultural community, and our artists are very expressive, and they've had the freedom to express their art, their work through their art without any issues. While in the Arab world, it's very recent that they start expressing their opinions, and therefore it will take a bit of time for them to reach there, but it's very diverse in each country.
Any unique qualities that stand out to you, specifically from those artists from the Arab region?
Unique qualities. You mean yes, I like that the young artists are allowed to voice their opinions in the Arab countries nowadays, whether in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, or the UAE. There's a lot of up and coming artists that are expressing okay in conceptual art, which I don't understand very well, but I try to reach there. It's a learning process all the time, but I appreciate that they are learning a lot and giving a lot.
From those younger artists that you mentioned, any examples that you can share of a few artists that have used their work and their voice to convey powerful cultural narratives and really address more contemporary issues?
There's quite a lot. I can't point out a single artist. I mean, they have different qualities and different messages to give. So I can't give you a name. It's a little difficult.
Any shift that you've noticed in the way the art is being created or being even perceived? There's a lot of censorship in the region when it comes to, artistic mediums, especially when they really portray a truth that is taboo and that is unspoken of. Have you noticed any shift in how people reciprocate to
I
those
think this
works?
is why they're going into conceptual art. I think it's an easier way not to go use the censorship part of it.
Selections Cultural Narratives project aims to map the Arab world through commissioned works by artists. Can you tell us maybe a bit more about this project and its significance?
Yeah. In 2013, we were invited to exhibit somewhere, and with a challenge that we have to come up with a very unique show to be able to get the entrance. And we came up with the idea of inviting Lebanese artists and Syrian artists during the time when there was a lot of Syrian artists coming into Lebanon. And we commissioned them works size 20 by 20, which is the perfect vision. And what we did is we decided that this is going to be a traveling show, and we placed them on crates. 30 Lebanese and 30 Syrian artists. And you could see very well the difference of skies and art and what people look at. The Lebanese was very diverse, very colorful, very eventful, very how would I say, creative. And the Syrians were very, very beautiful as well. It had a lot of technique, but a lot of eyes to look at you. And then we thought, this is really very interesting. Let's start with this, make it really more prominent. And we started inviting artists from different parts of the Arab countries, as well as Iran. And now we are about 730 so far today works. We took the works, about 300 of them, to Dubai. That was our second show. and printed books and invited, and artists started coming in and giving us the works. So it's a mosaic of works within one space, and we did not include the names of the countries nor the names of the works. It was on a map, so that it blends in. This is the Arab world, and that was really fantastic.
How do you select the artists that are being featured in culture narratives? Any criteria that you consider specifically when curating?
Not really. In fact, we have a lot of established artists in the collection, as well as up and coming artists, and it shows also the different way of thinking of the new generation, the older generation, and how it has evolved. And you can see them on the wall when they are hanged together, how it's worked. And we're hoping to have more and to exhibit more.
What trends or changes have you observed in the Arab art scene over the years, and how have you adapted with selections and cultural narratives to these changes?
In fact, there's a lot of changes in for example, in Saudi Arabia, a lot of openness to art, a lot of museums being worked on in the exhibitions of Al Ula, the 13 new museums that are being opening in Qatar. And very well worked on and very well thought of. A lot of design shows that there's a new light shedding light on design, whether it's the Biennale of the Biennale of Qatar, or Dubai, the design scene. It's less than what Qatar did. In fact, maybe I shouldn't say that, but okay. But and then in Lebanon mainly, which the culture starts really, and a lot of designers exhibiting during these days. I think we had an excellent show covering that our designers here.
You mentioned an interesting point of a lot of awakening in different regions of the Arab world.
Yes.
You have the new museum opening in Egypt. You have Al Ula really trying to reshape an old city and give it this artistic, modern touch. The Qatar Biennale, Art Dubai. There seems to be a new renaissance happening in the Arab world with rising artists in different mediums as well, but also the countries coming together and awakening to portrayal of their own people and of this cultural heritage that is seen through the arts. Um, how do you view this shift, and what impact do you think it might have on the global art scene with like this hub starting in the Middle East?
It's very important to have an art scene. Art is culture, and art is portraying culture. And we have a heritage that it was just sleeping. No one was shedding light on it, or no one was really experimenting on what is happening. And the new generation, new curators, new generation, and a lot of experts noticed that it has to be really exposed. And this is how we are a lot seen by the international.
Any success stories that you can share from artists who have been featured in selections that have been able to get more significant recognition as a result?
No, the artists. I can't say that. We try to help a lot of artists to cover them, and without them, we don't exist. So they gave us success. We didn't give them success.
Given the rich cultural heritage of the Middle East, and we're just talking about the importance of having an art hub in the region and really waking up um, all the potential of portrayal of our identities, of our many identities in the Arab world, how does selection aim to preserve and promote this heritage by covering artists through maybe future initiatives that you're thinking of, or maybe through continued print techniques?
You know, we are not going to start the print. The print stays. We have the online, which is a completely different. It's very timely information, and what we do in print is very timeless. What we are trying to do is have a collection of special editions that we publish, which are called the Beings, and covering the pioneer artists, so that they would be, it would be collectible, and people will know more about them. And we are able to do 5 editions a year of those Beings. They take a lot of time because we live with the artists for 3 months at least to know more about them, their daily life.
On a personal level.
Yes, on very personal level. And we pass this personal interviews to the people to read, and we try to reach more of this. And this is also through cultural narratives. We will be having printing. We printed already, and we will be printing more books on that, and biographies, and following artists as they rise and as they change, so that more people would know.
How do you usually find those artists? And I'm also very curious to hear more about the process in which you interview them, which is not traditional. I'd love to hear more
Which
about
artists?
that. In general, the process of just living with them for a few days, seeing their day to day, how they think, the way they perceive the world, and translate that into art.
You know, the artists that we have interviewed already are very well established. Normally, we have good relations with artists, and friendly, and we develop also friendship with some of the artists, and they mean a lot to us. It's very personal.
Yeah.
So there are so many that we would like to cover, but we have the capacity for this because it needs our personal presence. So, like Samia Halabi is an artist whom I have known since 15 years. Through her first shows, also at the Ayam Gallery in Dubai, and we kept a friendship throughout those years. And I was following her work and following her because I like the work. I like the artist herself. The other artists as well, Nadim Karam or Anashar Basbous, who comes from a very prominent artistic family. It was very important to know how he grew up in this artistic family and what's become of him. Ayman Balwaki, who is a star in Lebanon, and also was brought up in a family of artists, and he is a reachable person but non-reachable, and people would like to know more about him. Or Abdurrahman Katanani, who was brought up in the Palestinian camp, and his work, it's very respectful on how he portrays the Palestinian cause through his work. So, of course, personal relations, I would say.
As an avid art collector yourself, and how has your personal passion for the arts influenced your work and how you carry those relationships with the artist, with Selections magazine, and what keeps you going and what keeps you inspired?
I'm not an art collector. I'm an art lover. So art collectors, there are many different kinds of collectors. I'm just an art lover. I like to have in my house artists that I know, and because the energy of the artist is in the work,
Yeah.
and I would like good energy around me. And what has my work influenced? I like to see art. I don't need to own it. I like to visit the shows and understand more.
The stories.
To own it, I would own it if I see it. It doesn't have to be hanged on my walls.
Any piece that you hold dear to your heart that has, you think, a very impactful story to share?
I can't tell you, there are a lot of works that are in my house. Every work has a story. There isn't a single work
That's
without a
fantastic.
story. And it would take a long time.
We could talk about it on a part
Yeah.
two. What advice would you give to maybe aspiring artists or art enthusiasts who want to be more involved within understanding the many layers of the Arab art world and really be more involved in promoting art and culture from the Arab world, specifically in a day where there's pride and identity and a lot of people would want to understand more, so art becomes this first step, first easy layer to communicate with it. Any advice you would like to share?
I would advise not to copy and to be truthful to oneself and to one's culture. We have a lot to give, and we don't need to copy anyone. Just give the message you want to give, and try and keep on trying. Read and educate yourself.
And communicate emotion.
Absolutely.
I would love to end with a few rapid round questions that you can answer with a word or a sentence. What is your favorite art medium to portray or collect or observe?
It's very diverse. Very, very diverse. It's something that I fall in love with, and okay, it can be classic or it can be pop art.
Yeah.
I like if something that makes me smile, I like it.
If you could collaborate with any artist on a feature for Selections magazine, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Many.
Any one name that stands out?
We collaborate with a lot of artists. We allowed normally selections. Sometimes it's written by the artists, so we have had a lot of collaborations. I can't tell you a specific artist because they are so different, and each one is giving more and giving unique. So I can't. I'm sorry again. I can't.
Any maybe memorable piece of art that you've seen that stands out from the rest?
I've seen a lot of art in Europe where I lived, or in the States. I lived in Canada. That was memorable when I was living there. The Inuit art, or that was fantastic. I lived in Europe. I lived in Helsinki, in Finland, and I was very impressed by the Kalevala, their story, and that I liked as well. In different museums, I have special pieces that I keep on going to look at. So these places are related to the countries, and that's the memory of it.
I would love to maybe learn more about your favorite museum, either in the world or in the Arab region that you love to visit.
Okay, I love to visit the Prado Museum.
In Madrid.
Yes. I always, whenever I visit Madrid, that's the first trip I make, because I find it fascinating with the history that it is giving. I like the Thyssen Museum as well. And in New York, I go to the Met. I like it. I like the Guggenheim in Venice. Maybe less in New York, but okay.
Yeah.
And where the V&A in London, I love the Tate Modern. Okay, museums are beautiful. In the Arab world, I like the Islamic Art Museum. It's very impressive. We're waiting for the other museums to come out, but yeah.
And lastly, if you could give a piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Dive more into art. Learn more.
Create, maybe?
No, I'm not a creative person into art, but to know more, to understand more.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Rima, it was lovely having you on Talk on the Pod.
Thank you. It's lovely meeting you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.